Welcome to Just Minding My Business Radio, where we are moving at the speed of God, learning what we didn't know we didn't know. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
So grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use.
X your business starting today with digital marketing from Just Minding My Business Media, LLC on JMMB Media TV or Mindset Movers TV. jmmbradio@gmail.com.
Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media, LLC. The best time to plan a book is while you're doing the dishes. Agatha Christie. Today, we welcome Adriana Monique Alvarez, who is the CEO and founder of AMA Publishing, where she teaches women how to start highly profitable publishing companies. She's an international best-selling author highlighted in Forbes, Huffington Post, International Living, Addicted to Success, Elephant Journal, and interviewed on Fox, ABC, and NBC. Adriana is the author of How to Start a Six-Figure Publishing Company, a USA Today best-selling author, and her most recent book, The Younger Self Letters, debuted #1 on bestseller list internationally. Welcome, Adriana Monique Alvarez.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yes, welcome. So how did you get on this road?
I tripped and fell in it. That's what I tell people. I never had any plans or ideas. It never crossed my mind that I would be doing this, but I had been a business consultant for years, started in 2009, and all of my clients kept talking about how they wanted to write a book, and then none of them did, or they wrote it and they never published it. And so I just started asking them, why not? What's going on? And they said, oh, publishing is so intimidating and there's so many things to learn. And I just couldn't look away. So I started creating solutions for them.
Wow. That's awesome, because so many women do want to write a book. So many women have a story in their belly that needs to come out.
I agree.
And they come into it with looking at all of the pieces instead of just write the book.
Isn't that the truth?
And let the rest fall into place.
Yes.
So how do you help women to get, because it's mostly fear.
100%. It's fear. You can say it's because you don't know a good editor, or you don't know how to do Amazon, or I don't know how to market, but it's fear. When we are faced with this opportunity, if we're going to share our story, and more than what we know, more than head knowledge, more than experience, but we're really going to share who we are, we have to face all of the fear, all of the possible rejection, criticism, persecution, all of the things. They come up to the surface. And then most people go, you know what? I think I'm all right. I'll do it next year. Oh, when I finish that other project, when the kids graduate, and it just gets pushed out to the future.
Absolutely. So how do you help women move through that?
The main thing, when I started, I created multi-author books so that women could start with a 3,000 word chapter and get their feet wet, become a best-selling author, network, figure out, hey, you know what? I have even more to say. And it was great to get that out. And it was great to get some positive feedback. And then they could decide if they wanted to roll into a solo book and really tell the bigger story. And then last year, I expanded by teaching women how to start their own publishing house so that there's more opportunities for women to have easy access to publishing. Because what I learned is that men are 8 times more likely to get a yes from traditional publishing than women are. And so women also, they have this fear of like the traditional route. They're going to change their voice. They're going to edit what they wrote. They're going to change them in some way. They're going to censor them in some way. And so I wanted to be part of creating more publishing houses that were more indie, more grassroots, more we support you and your story. And we're going to make it as easy as possible to get it out to the world.
Yes. And I think that's important because with all of the fear factor involved in just writing a book, just writing a chapter, it's just, you need that platform that looks easier than what they imagined.
Yes.
And myself, I'm an international best author. I've done quite a few anthologies myself. And when you're sitting there and you're writing, especially about some of the pains that has transpired in your life, a lot of things come up. You have to relive it. And sometimes, well, it hurts. Let's put it that way. And then once you get it out on paper and submit it, then you start second guessing. Should I have put all of that out there?
Oh, yes.
So it's a definitely emotional ride. Now, in terms of people, women being able to be their own publishing house, what does that look like?
Well, what I love to do is take something that seems complicated or difficult to break into and simplify the whole process, and also make it incredibly profitable, because most of my clients are like myself. They have children, they have families. And if we're going to dedicate a portion of our time and energy to a business, it needs to feel worth it. I'm not here to have clients that are making a few $1,000s here or there. And so I looked at what's the most profitable way for them to navigate a publishing house. So I teach my clients how they can profit $50,000 per multi-author book, and then how they can roll that, and parlay that into solo books, even how they can do bigger projects and have upsells that might include private coaching or that one-on-one support that so many people need as they navigate the fear. They begin to consider what they're ready to share, who might not appreciate their story. And so it's really looking at the money aspects of it and then looking at the team. So one of the other things is I have internally built teams so that my clients, they don't have to go find all the moving parts and they don't have to feel like they have to do it themselves. So I can say, let me connect you with this person, and they're going to take care of your editing, your formatting, your cover design. They're going to help you hit bestseller status. They're going to manage all of those things so you can hold the vision of the book and truly be the CEO.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's amazing, because it is a lot of work, especially, writing the book and then getting it out there and then keeping it alive.
Yes.
So once the book comes out, the launch and all that good stuff, because I've been through that, and launch day is very hectic.
Yes.
Very hectic. But then after the book is out and published, how do you help women to keep the momentum going surrounding the book?
It's a great question. And it's something I teach on all the time. I go do teachings and trainings for my students as well as just authors in general. And what I say is, most people think of the launch as the finish line. Yay, I did it. It's out in the world. My work here is done. But it's really day one. It's sort of like when you're pregnant for 9 months and you think of all the things you're going to do. And then you get home with the baby and you're like, oh my gosh, now it's real. The real work starts now, right? So I'm all for taking a victory lap. I'm all for taking a deep breath, but you really need to have, I love to have like a 30-day plan, a 90-day plan. I like to see what can we do with this book for the next 12 months. And the very first thing that I tell my clients is have something that you're going to offer on the back end of the book. Do you have a retreat? Do you have a coaching program? Do you have a mastermind? What do you have? Because we know book sales are not enough. The book needs to lead to something else. It makes them hungry for more. So what are you going to offer? And are you committed to talking about that for 30 days, filling that up, and then having upsells that are connected and related to that? And then making sure that you have events. Like the next wave that I like to do is going out and getting those 5-star reviews and sharing those with the audience, giving an incentive for leaving a review, maybe create a course and it's an exchange. You'll get this course in exchange for a review, creating discussions around the book. What did you get out of it? How else can I support you? And having themes that roll through the year. And you can give yourself a break in there, obviously, but you need a plan. What do I want this book to do over the next 12 months? When I put together the USA Today bestselling book, that's what I tell my clients. We're going to look at how you're going to make 100,000 on the back end of this book. We're going to look at how you can get on podcasts. We're going to look at how you can get in the media. We're going to look at how you sell out your next program, because that's what it's really about. The book is the pathway to all of these other things, which means more people are hearing your message and more people are getting to really benefit from the gifts that you have. And this is the main thing I tell my clients. If you wake up and you ask yourself, how can I be a blessing to others today? You'll know what you're ready to offer.
Mm-hmm. I like the way that was put. How can you be a blessing to someone today? And it's just gonna come up just that easy. That is awesome. So when you are helping women to create their own publishing house, so to speak, what's the first steps of getting with you? How does that work?
So once a woman knows, this is part of my calling, because I would say that that's really necessary. The people who just see it as a good business opportunity, they usually don't have the longevity of those who say, it's really in my heart to help bring more voices forward. So once they've decided that that's who they are and that's what they're here to do with this life, then I literally just take them one step at a time. When we come in, we establish simple things like, who are the types of people I want to work with? What are the stories I want to champion? Because the people we work with, we exchange our life with, and we might as well work with our favorite people, the most fun people, the easiest people, the people we have things in common with. And so we start there. Who do you want to be and who do you want to work with? And what sort of impact, what kind of message do you want to implant in the world? And once they're clear on that, then we create the book, we create the title, the subtitle, and I give them marketing ideas so they can go fill that first multi-author book. Because once money is coming in and people are resonating with their vision, that excitement is rolling and it continues to gain momentum.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can see that, because once people see the money, they like, oh, okay, this is working.
Yes.
For sure. So how do people get in contact with you?
I would love if people visit Alma Speaks. It's AMASPEAKS.com. And there they can say where they heard, mention your podcast. I would love for them to tell me if they'd like me to send them a copy of my book, How to Create a Six-Figure Publishing Company, or if they'd like to become a USA Today bestselling author. And we can connect that way. I'd love for them to set up a chat.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. I mean, because a lot of times, I know when the first book that I did it, but I really didn't understand the whole mechanics around being an author in a book and the next steps. Because, I mean, it was an anthology. It was given to me, this is what we need. We need the editing done by such and such a date. We need to submit it by such and such a date. But it was I didn't understand the whole idea of it. You know what I mean? I didn't understand all of the nuts and bolts involved. So I think I did the book. And after the book, I sold a few copies and then it just melted away. So because I didn't understand how to continuously use that to promote what I was doing. So with you doing that, I think that's really important, because a lot of people do that. And I interview a lot of authors all the time. As a matter of fact, it seemed like we an attraction for authors. We interview authors all the time. But it's like once that book is out, then they just on to the next book. And the next book, not really doing anything with after the fact with the book they just wrote. So how do you help women that do that? Because I know you know some.
Oh,
yes. Just go from one anthology to the next, to the next, to the next.
Well, one of the stories I tell in my book is how when I was invited to the first anthology book that I participated in, I was sort of like you. I didn't know all the ins and outs and I didn't know the full potential, but I was lucky because right before the book came out, my friend said, you have an offer that you're going to put together with this, right? And so I immediately put something and I threw it out there and I made $86,000 after that book came out, after one chapter in one book that somebody else produced. And that's when my eyes really opened. And I thought, if women can get comfortable with really being seen and heard, if they can get comfortable with receiving large amounts of money, if they can get comfortable with being the leader that they were born to be, then they can maximize what a book can do. What happens is if we don't have someone telling us this, really saying this is what's possible, if we don't have a visionary leading the way, and we have discomfort with any of those things, it's like you said, it's a moment of excitement, it's the launch date, and then it dies. And so what I'm here to do is to say, this is what's possible, and teaching my students the same. And women, this is who we came to be. So let's fully embrace it without apology. Let's go big.
Go big or go home.
That's right.
I like it. I like it. And I like the way you're presenting this because it just gives you another possibility.
Yes.
You sat down, you wrote this chapter in this book. Now what?
I wanted to just ask a question. Sometimes because people do get on to the road of writing a chapter in every book, they're serial anthologists, if you want to put it that way. Is it at some point that they should actually be willing to sit down and write a full book on their own, which is totally their voice? Because anthologies are somebody else's vision that you tap into. It may be you're tapping into it validly, but at some point, do you help those who want to sit down and write their own book that's coming from their own vision?
Mm-hmm. I love this. And the answer is yes. I think that what the anthology allows us to do is have those training wheels, and for us to identify what story or theme or topic could I and am I ready to write my own book about? And it really is the next step. It's that full ownership. It's saying, I'm ready, I'm capable, I have more to say, and allowing those experiences to be what leads us into it. And yes, I help women with that. And oftentimes I refer them to my students and my graduates, but a lot of times, they'll say, I want to work with you. I feel like you get this story. You get what I've been through. And there's not many experiences that go deeper than writing your own book. You are going to grow exponentially as a human being. And I don't think there's a greater gift that we can give ourselves in that.
Yes, I
Now,
agree.
let me ask you again, does that have to be in the form of a memoir, or can it be in the form of fiction? But it's just a story. I just said it, I think, at the beginning. You have a story in your belly that it's been there forever. If it was a baby, you're long past due, okay?
Yes.
And so it's like getting that story out. It doesn't have to be a memoir.
No, it doesn't. And this is what I love about having so many people in my network is I have some women, they specialize in children's stories or fiction. One of my clients just produced a a teen fiction fantasy type of book. There's all different kinds of ways. And I'm not here to say what kind of story you have to share. I'm here to say, let's get it out of you and get it to the world, because until we do that, we can't be a blessing. We can't inspire. We cannot show the way. And this is really what we're being asked to do right now, is we have to lead by example. It's not enough to know what is good and right. It's about walking it out. And when we take that pen and paper and we present it to the world and we face all of those fears and we do it anyway, we are showing our children, and we're leaving a gift for generations behind us. This is what I had inside of me. And now you get it as well. I wish I had that kind of thing from my grandparents and great-grandparents. We have a unique opportunity at this moment in time. We can leave a gift and we can leave a legacy through our words.
You know, you brought out something very, very important. Our grandparents, my grandmother, my mother, my great-grandmother did not have that voice. And we often talk about it in the family that, you know, they all went to their graves with stories inside of them, things that they did not share because of fear of persecution, all of those things. And now, because we do have more room to move in as women, our stories are so powerful. And it's almost like we have to begin speaking for all the generations that didn't have a voice.
We do. We really do. This is our duty. It's our responsibility, and it's the gift we've been given. And I agree. When I talk about books, I say my grandmother's never even dreamt of this, but you better believe I'm going to take it and run with it.
There you go. I thank you for that. That is very powerful.
Very, very powerful, because I'm sitting here now. I lost my mother last year, and she kept saying, I'm gonna write a book, I'm gonna write a book, I'm gonna write a book. Well, I have her manuscript, so I'm going to put that book together for her. I might have to add a little bit because it's not very long, but it might just be it's a children's book. But I feel like she wanted to do it, but for some reason she didn't take it all the way. And I think it's my duty and for me to finish it where she started.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I'm looking at right now to do, is get her book out.
What a beautiful way to honor her life.
Yes. And I mean, she wrote beautiful poetry all the time, you know, and from what I could read of her manuscript, it was based on animals kind of talking to each other. So it's like, when I read it, it's like, this is very interesting. So now it has motivated me to go ahead and put it in a book format in honor of her.
Very nice.
Yes.
Yeah, we all have a story, and our parents had stories that they never told. And we have part of them, because one of the things that is very familiar for many people is, especially during holiday time, when families got together, they shared stories. And sometimes we don't think about those stories until years later, and we start putting together the bits and pieces. And their story is part of our story. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. And so what a lovely way to honor them by, you know, incorporating their stories into our stories. So many stories that were not told, and yet we have bits and pieces of them. You know, they actually live inside of us. So I'm just really thrilled by what you're doing, and that you stay with your authors and through all the steps. Yes, you get this great thrill moment of getting that chapter done, but okay, now what are you going to do with it next? And then after you get all that done, you know, okay, so what else is in there that needs to come out, that you're ready to let go of and put out into the world? That's a phenomenal step for any writer. And I write. I have yet to be published. So it's, and I understand what I just said of having a story in your belly, and it's there. And when it comes up, it's meant to get down on paper. It's meant to get out into the world. But for all the reasons that you mentioned, many of us don't actually get around to that. And there is a great story, the death of Ivan Ilyich. And Ivan Ilyich at his deathbed says, I wonder if I've lived my whole life wrong. And that's something that many of us do. We die with our song still inside of us. Our parents did, our grandparents did, but you're giving people the opportunity not to do that. And I commend you for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And now there's so much help and support to get it out, because like you said, when our parents was coming up, we didn't have none of what we have today.
No.
They didn't have any of what we have.
Didn't have a computer.
Yes. And then we have people that are compassionate, that understand the fear, that understand all of the little nuances that will come up when you're doing this thing, and willing to be there to hold your hand through it all. Because even after the book is done, you still feel in some kind of way.
Yes. And it's also, we live in a different time, and that the fact that women are so much more willing to share their stories. In my mother's generation, even, there was the shame of what you had experienced. Even if it was valid and right, you didn't tell anybody. You didn't put it out there on the table for everybody to see.
Right.
But nowadays, women are like, hey, this is what happened. So your story, even though it is unique to you, it is not foreign to people. And so really, they're more open to accepting what you have to say. In fact, they're looking for it because they want to hear they want to hear their story come out of somebody else's mouth.
That's it.
Yes. And not only that, it's healing.
Very healing.
It's very healing for the author and the reader.
Yes.
And now shame is not at the forefront anymore. It's about getting that story out and letting people know that I made it through. And
That's
you
right.
can too.
I'm still standing.
Yes. So I am just, what you're doing is so amazing and so needed. And I know that your clients must love you, because we're feeling some really good vibrations from you.
Yeah.
Thank
really
you.
Good. Very good vibes. Very good vibes.
Yes, indeed. And we feel a passion that you have in helping these women.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to work with you, what's the steps?
They can check, if they go to my website, I have a form right there. I love hearing from people. I don't like having a million walls and, this whole online space, and sort of feel like people keep you at arm's distance. But if they go to almaspeaks.com, I will personally receive their form, their message, and they'll speak with me. They don't speak to someone on staff, and we'll figure out what the next step is. What does that look like? Because there's no cookie cutter approach. I look at the individual. What do they want? What are they ready to do? What, like you said, what's burning in their bones? Because the thing I always ask my clients is, do you know who you are? And do you know what you're meant to do with this life? And if you do, there's nothing we can't do together.
Wow.
Alrighty.
That's right. That's awesome. That is really great. I mean, I'm feeling some kind of way right now, just talking to you and really looking at what I've just done and how I can take it to another level and continue to make it grow and beneficiary, not only for myself, but a blessing for somebody else. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for.
It is. And that's what we have to keep in front of us. We came here to contribute something meaningful. We came here to help another person along the way. And we're not going to get caught up in paying bills and taking the trash out on Tuesdays. We're going to remember why we actually came here.
Amen to that.
There's nothing
Yes.
else to say. That's the
I
last
mean,
word.
you said it all. Why am I here?
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
More than just like you said, take care of the kids, take the trash out on Tuesday. In my neighborhood, it's Thursdays. Yes, indeed. I am just loving the vibrations that's going on right now. And it's really inspiring to hear that somebody is truly, genuinely want to help other women to get that story out of that belly and get it out into the world, and willing to hold their hand throughout the entire process and help them make some money.
Yes.
So
That's always a good thing.
yeah, so you can't beat that. I mean, everything that you're about is what women need.
Mm-hmm.
Because even, older women, elderly women now are not like they were before. They're doing a whole new life, a whole new career.
Absolutely.
The kids are gone. What can I do now? And they're excited about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a whole new generation of older women. That idea of sitting down in a house coat in a rocking chair does not exist anymore.
No.
I don't know any of my friends who really want to sit down. They're like, what else can I do? There's got to be something I can do. I spoke to a friend of mine the other day, and she's actually in her 50s. And she said from what she's doing now, she is creating the scenario for herself. So when she does get to be in her 70s, she'll have something to do because it's already there. And she'll probably have moved on. But the fact that she's thinking about it that way, I find it very exciting. That women in their 50s are no longer thinking about, oh, when I get to be 60 or 70, I'm just, life is over. No. They're planning on opening businesses. They're going back to school, getting their degrees, whatever it takes for them to be able to have a future.
Absolutely.
I think that's where you come in, because there are women who have stories that they want you to help them to tell.
Absolutely. Yes. And which takes me to my next question. What is the age range of the women that come to you?
It is a wide range, and I love this. So I have clients in 36 countries. I work from 20 somethings to 60 somethings, and I love the variety because each one gives me a different gift. There's layers of richness that come in that I learn from the different generations, from the different cultures. And the truth of the matter is that it's about the fact that they resonate with who I am and what I'm here to do. And as long as we have that in common, the rest of it, it's all good.
Absolutely. Well, we will definitely be sending people your way because your energy is just magic.
Thank you.
Just you saying, I'm believing already. I can do this. Just in our conversation, because we just feel it. So what, I just lost my train of thought, but I had something really important to ask you, and it just came and went.
It'll float back in. I want to share something else that was really put on my heart recently, is this whole idea of me also cultivating the stories within my sons. They're only 6 and 7. But what I realized is when I got this mic, they saw it and they kept speaking into it, and they asked me, can they hear me? Mm-hmm. And I got this idea of, if I sat my sons down next to me and I asked them a simple question, what was the best part of today? And got them to tell stories and to focus on all of the good in life, that I was going to help them create this ability of not only recognizing the good and focusing on it, but activating and using their own voice. And so we're having so much fun with that. So I'm actually going to turn it into a podcast where it's called The Best Day Ever, because that's what they talk about when we're having fun. Oh, Mom, this is just the best day ever. And the wisdom that comes from them and the insights But it happened because I paused and said, let's talk about it. I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to open up to mama. And realizing it's not at a certain age that we can create these rituals and these practices and honor the stories from start to finish.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And getting kids to recognize that they have a story to tell as well. Everybody
Yes.
has a story to tell.
Everybody has a voice.
Yes.
We have a voice from the day we're born. Some of us had a voice when we were in vitro too, to hear our mothers tell it. But we've had a voice from the day we were born. But so often at a very young age, we get shut down.
Mm.
And so for you to do that with your sons, that's incredible.
Yes,
To recognize
it is.
that's incredible.
Yes, it is. And that
That's
also
incredible.
helps them to be able to talk about what they're feeling.
Mhm.
Yes.
Their experiences.
Right. And not shut them down. Because I mean, we just spoke with another young lady and we were talking about how the teachers sometimes shut kids down.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
They lose their
You know,
voice,
and
they lose
and
their
we
ability to.
definitely have to stop doing that.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely have to stop doing that because that doesn't create any good in our children.
There's a beautiful poem. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You just made me think of a poem by Khalil Gibran.
Mm.
It says that your children are not your children. They're the sons and daughters of life yearning for their own, and that they come through you, but they do not belong to you. You know, and so often that's the way we treat children. We treat children as if they're a commodity and that we have the right to get inside their minds and sort of manipulate them to our own way of thinking and being. But their thinking is so much different. And I think right now we really see that because these children, 4 years old, give them something that's computer related and they're gone with it. They're gone with it. They're teaching us
Right.
what to do with it, you know? And it's like, it's every generation is different. And so we have to really appreciate that and appreciate their voices. They may be
Yes.
little, they may be small, they may be whiny sometimes, but they have a voice. They were born with a voice. Every one of us is born with a voice, but we don't learn how to use it. And some of us never use it, you know? So I know this is an interesting conversation. We always have these, we never know where conversations are going to go when we have guests on Just Minding My Business. And this is, again, one of those conversations. We started talking about book publishing, but now we're talking about how important that voice is, the voice of children, you know, and that they have something important to say.
Yes.
And so often they get shut down,
Yes.
cut off,
And I'm
told to be quiet. It's better to be seen and not heard. Yes, that was the one. Better to be
that's a
seen and not
wonderful
heard.
thing that you're doing with your kids to
Yeah.
already inspire them to tell their story.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really good. And they will carry that with them throughout their lives.
And they're
they
going to
won't
teach their
let
children.
anybody shut them down because mama said it was all right for me to tell my story.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that.
Yes, for sure. Wow. This has been so awesome talking to you. And I'm looking forward to really perusing your website and looking at reaching out to you about what I can do with what I've just done, because I've just completed an anthology. I forgot the name of it. So that's terrible right there. But anyway, I've just completed one. I have another one coming out. And I need to really focus on my next with those. And then I need to focus on writing my own book because I have a story too. And I've been doodling, writing things down for about 5 years now. So just talking to you, Miss Adriana, you have made me start to go back and look at that and really, I know who I am and I know what I want out in the world. So it's just a matter now of getting it out, getting it done, and working with somebody that will hold my hand when I want to push back, maybe pulling me forward.
That's right.
Yes, because I think through the whole process, fear always crops up.
Absolutely.
The whole process, even after published, oh God, I hope people like it.
Mm-hmm. What did I say on page whatever?
Exactly. Or I hope that relative doesn't buy it.
Right.
Oh my.
So
Yep.
it's definitely an honor to have you here, and we're looking forward to more conversations with you.
Yeah.
And again, how can people connect with you?
If they go to almaspeaks.com, I would love for them to fill out the form there so that we can connect and have a conversation and see what is theirs to do in the world.
Yes. And another thing that you said that I really like is they get to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's important. Because I always say in my company, I never want to get so big that I can't talk to my clients. I just never want to be that person. Because I think it's important that when people reach out to your company, they get to talk to you.
Yes, I agree. And, for me, I've just never had the type of business model where it's this sterilized, systemized thing. And they can talk, it can have 10 different people that they can talk to. This is really built around me and my passion and my purpose for being here, my soul's work. And so there's no way to, for better or for worse, there's no way to just systemize that. It's about having these heartfelt conversations and then knowing how we can move forward together. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yes, I agree. I agree 100%, because when it's your calling, it's different.
It is different.
It's very different.
Yeah.
And you want to talk to people. You don't want the secretary talking to people. You want to talk to them.
It's the best part of my day, that's the best part of it.
Exactly. You get all excited. Oh, I got somebody I can talk to today.
Yes. What are we going to do?
Yeah, you do. Because even with what we do, when we see somebody sign up for an interview and then we read the bio, oh, this is going to be great. We just look so forward. And like I called you, it's like, okay, she's not here. Let me just give her a little to see what's going on. And I called you. And that's what we do. I like to be the one to reach out to people. I do not want a filter between me and my client, because to me, that's distasteful. That's not my model either. Okay. But anyway, this was an amazing conversation. You're an amazing person. And I am looking forward to learning more about what you do and working with you, because I definitely need to get what I've got done. And, I've got a little fear around it. So I understand that feeling. So I'm looking forward to definitely reaching out to you to see how we can work together.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and your presence. And thank you for who you are and what you're doing in the world.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your business, through Just Minding My Business Media, has exposure on internet radio, major social media platforms, and now TV. Through Just Minding My Business, dynamic digital marketing platform. Don't listen to the word on the street. Hear it for yourself. Visit jmb.assistercircle.org to learn how you can take your business, your vision, to the next level. Voiceovers by RCH VoiceWorks, for when you want to be heard. Call 443-620-4115.
Thank you for tuning Just Minding My Business Radio. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
We hope you enjoy the show and appreciate you stopping by. Many blessings to you and yours.